book series, Bookie Podcasts. I find on YouTube, whenever I look at a book review, that seldom do you get what the person who made the video, I feel like you don't always get how they feel about the book or what their thoughts or how it relates to their experience. It's, to me, kind of dumb. But I do have Reward Audacity to thank for that, because a long time ago, he commented on somebody's gun review video, or maybe it was a knife review. And if you remember, or if he remembers, the complaint you leveled was, look, I can look up the specifications, like how many bullets the thing holds, or how long the blade is, or what type of blade edge it has. I'm curious what you think about it, how it works for you, how it doesn't work for you, like how you really feel about it. I've tried to incorporate that with my book reviews that I've gone on there, and after hearing that from Reward Audacity, who was Shall Not Be Infringed back then, I tried to make any sort of gear or whatever review that same way, just to put some kick-ass stuff out there. Not that it kicks ass, and not that I know anything about it. There was certainly a time when I could have made a good review on automotive tools, and I probably still could, now that I'm a bit of a more of a shade tree sort of suburban dude kind of guy, like, oh, how does this toolkit work and why, and what are 4 essential tools you need in your household toolbox. I bet that would rock. That would probably make for a viral video. I stole the idea, by the way, from Adam Carolla, because I don't know much about construction. He does. But Atlas Shrugged, one of those books that had a heavy impact on my life when I was attending the University of South Florida, and I'm not saying that to put on airs, I'm explaining it for a reason. When you first start college, and this was back then, and I'm sure it's worse now, because people are raised differently, and I grew up in a conservative household. They have these markets that, like a farmer's market almost, only instead of it being fruits and vegetables, which they do have that crap sometimes, but it would be like little kiosks, and for example, the Communist Party would have a thing set up, and the Young Republicans would have a thing set up, and the art club would have a thing set up, and the gay club, I don't remember what it was called back then, probably like the lesbian and gay club. I bet it was called the gay club, not to be confused with the glee club. And then all the different sororities and fraternities had their little setups. And for some of us, it would be the first time we'd ever been exposed to like the whole workers' party. And because we hadn't been educated otherwise, if things don't make sense to a person, it can be very easy to present Marxist theory to the uninformed. And I can't even remember what it was, but maybe it was in that same, let's pretend it was in that same little market that somebody saw this pamphlet that I had, and then they handed me a book, and that book was by Ayn Rand, and the book was actually Anthem. And I read it, and he's like, here you go, this will get you right. And it kind of did, and I think it worked good, because I don't think at that point in my life, say 18 years old, is an 18-year-old really ready for the concepts of Atlas Shrugged, which is the subject of this video? I would say not necessarily. Atlas Shrugged is for your maybe more ambitious entrepreneurial type people. The context of it was Rand grew up at a time when the Soviet Union was private businesses were taken over, and her father lost his business through that policy. So as a result, she was able to present, through her bias, a very poignant, if that's the word, argument against socialism and the pitfalls of a socialist concept. I think people on YouTube and maybe other social medias cling to Atlas Shrugged, and I don't know if they always do it for the right reasons. It was maybe 10 years ago, no, longer than 10 years ago. We were talking, this is around 2007, 2008, that these videos started popping around, back when individuals made videos on YouTube. And it was this big thing like, I'm John Galt, I'm John Galt, I'm John Galt. And some of you that used to watch the Lamb Dog channel, I'm sure saw that and remember it, and maybe even made that video. I don't know if I made one or not. It was even around the time that Josh Galt, who still has his channel named Josh Galt, I can't remember what it used to be called even at this point because it's been so long, but he's like, well, I'm Josh Galt, which is interesting because Josh, to me, in my opinion, is a little bit more nationalistic than what Ayn Rand and the anarcho-capitalists are. So it's sort of ironic. And John Galt, in the book, very clearly points out in his speech, and there's some really cool video versions that people have dramatized his speech. They're really cool to watch. But it makes me believe, like, knowing the people who made those videos, some of them that said it, love y'all to death, but when you said I'm Josh Galt, I was like, no, you're not. Are you John Galt if you simply quit your job because you feel that your labor is being taken advantage of or being served to push others? Man, I think Atlas Shrugged is such an extreme example that it isn't fair, in my opinion, to compare, say, now we're in 2023, it's not fair to make a comparison to what was going on with the world economy in the world of Atlas Shrugged compared to what we have nowadays. Because it's a hybrid economy that the world operates under. I believe there's some nuggets of fundamental economic wisdom in Atlas Shrugged that we can plug into our day-to-day lives, plug into our day-to-day awareness. My biggest takeaway from that whole book is the difference of absolving yourself of personal responsibility compared to that of being an innovator whose efforts are being taken advantage of. For example, if I may steelman the Marxist case, if you have certain physical skills and certain physical labors that are being taken advantage of, that other workers are compensated the same or work within your work, how is that any different than what John Galt went through when his device that would have changed that company forever and the world forever was abused and taken advantage of. In conclusion, a large part of Atlas Shrugs runs against the way I was fundamentally raised to be, and it's also opposed with what I believe truly makes us strong. If John Galt's speech is anything about how the whole book is, and what it states is, I will never live for the sake of another individual. I believe that's a mistake. And when Dagny finds all the successful, amazing people that have moved to Galt Gulch, and they have an economy set up and they don't actually do favors for each other. They actually exchange coins in a similar way that we see in John Wick. I can't wrap my head around that. And my desire and my wish to be a gentleman. I believe what makes me strong is my desire to put the needs of others ahead of my own. How we get there is a different story. Say, if I can explain briefly, healthcare as an example. I believe it's important for everybody to have a level of healthcare that keeps them in a way that they deserve to be. Technology brought to bear to extend life, heal wounds, but I don't believe that it should be at the sake of voluntarily taking away from others. There should be somehow a way to propagate or encourage an economy to allow businesses and actions to either one, strive to provide that care for the people who work for them, or two, allow them an amount of money where they're able to take care of their own. Because I believe that through our own labors is how we're edified. And when we operate off of the labor and the permission of others, in my opinion and in my experience, it leads us down an unhealthy road. Thanks for watching.